Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? We are back. We are back, 2Ks. Hope everyone had a great Mother's Day weekend. All you mothers out there, and all you motherfuckers. Hopefully, you gave them a good Mother's Day, like I know you folks do. But 2Ks, it's good to be back in the saddle. It's always hard to, because it seems like once we do a show, we get a good, a good vibe going, and then the schedule throws us just something completely weird. We've got Memorial Day coming up this coming weekend, so everyone be safe while celebrating. And remember, if you are shooting off fireworks, you're probably not going to see a doctor until Tuesday. And on the flip side, if you're out there drinking, you will not see a judge until Tuesday. So kind of keep that in mind as we go into this holiday weekend. But 2Ks, we got a lot going on. We've got baseball. We've got a Game 7 in the NHL. We've got NBA playoffs going. Actually, not going on right now, but the conference finals are set. So let's get into this. We got a whole bunch of news. We got a whole bunch of NBA. And we got a whole bunch of baseball. 2Ks. Big PGA championship today.
Yeah.
Big PGA championship. And just to kind of, where is it? There it is. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. The Golf Channel via Twitter, third major championship, first as a father, a landmark day for Scotty Scheffler. And he went into today with a 4-shot lead, something like that. And Rahm kind of made a push. We saw Bryson. At one point it was Scotty, Rahm, and then Bryson, all 1, 2, 3. And it seemed like maybe it was just a little bit too late for Bryson to kind of make any moves. And from what I saw, because I was in and out all day, it kind of seemed like Rahm got within, I think, 2 or 3 shots and then kind of pressed a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Scotty just does what Scotty does. There's a reason why he's the number 1 golfer in the world.
Yeah, but that's exactly what it was. I mean, we finally got to see that version. I mean, I hate to say it was a Scheffler slump that he was in, because he was still playing some pretty decent golf. But I think to Scotty Scheffler's standards, it wasn't where he wants to be, and especially where he was just a couple of years ago. So to see that version of him today, he is the best golfer in the world right now. I know that McIlroy has made a push here early this season, but I still give the nod to Scheffler, and watching him today, it was like he was just in coast mode. Nobody was going to catch him. He had set himself up. He played the best golf the first 3 days, and then today he just kind of coasted to a win. And if you wanted to see excitement or anything crazy happening today, unfortunately that did not happen. But yeah, he just coasted to it. So it was good to see.
Now I didn't really know what to think about Scotty until I watched the video of him and Grant Horvat on Grant's channel. And just to kind of get behind the scenes, kind of get to know the guy a little bit more. I really like him. He's a very personable guy. We saw on Thursday his little poke wearing the burnt orange, like the jumpsuit. Love that about him. Love all of it. Now, I think moving forward, this week, especially tomorrow, once the other talking heads kind of get their chance to sound off on this 2Ks, is we did see Jon Rahm play some very good competitive golf for the first time. I think you can say since that big live contract, and there was a lot of folks going into even on Friday and Saturday saying, did he sell his soul when he signed that contract? Yeah, cool, bro. You got all this money. But it would have been a whole lot cooler for the whole golf community to see you side by side with these guys, on the regular PGA Tour. And he really hasn't won a whole lot on the live side. And there was some folks on Twitter comparing him to Bryson, but you really can't say that, because Bryson not only won PGA Tour events, but he's won live events as well. So he's kind of put his money where his mouth is, for the most part. And I think a lot of the talk this week is going to be about the lack of Jon Rahm as compared to where it should be, which is how good Scotty actually is.
Yeah, and it just shows you how tough it is to just be consistent on the tour and just there's only a handful of golfers that we've watched throughout our lifetime that are consistently always at the top. Obviously, Tiger.
Mhm.
Probably can say Phil Mickelson there for a little while was always there at the top, kind of in that time, and then we've been able to see it here for the last few years with Scheffler. We've watched it with McIlroy, but even McIlroy had a time where I think he went like a kind of a 3, 4, 5 year stretch where he just wasn't playing, very good golf. It's not easy for I think for so long we were spoiled of watching Tiger for 15, 20 years of just being at somewhere in the race for winning a tournament every single time he
Mhm.
played, and we were kind of spoiled with that and thought, and he made it just look easy.
Yeah.
And but now I mean, you see golfers all the time that have like a 1, 2, 3 year stretch where they're pretty good and they're winning some tournaments, or maybe they string together a couple majors. But it's hard, and I think the next
Mhm.
version that we're seeing, that can do it's doing it anywhere close to what Tiger did is Scotty Scheffler,
Yeah.
being able to now win what as of today fourth major that he's won now altogether,
Third,
third,
third, I think. Yes, third,
third.
third major championship. Now he's knocked two of the legs out
Mm.
for the Grand Slam for the career Grand Slam. But yeah, it's awesome to watch, and it's if you now the shot tracer has revolutionized watching golf on
Yeah.
TV, because now we actually get to see how these guys shape the ball, how they fade it, cut it, and it's his he seems to get more English on that tiny little ball than any other player. I could be wrong, but it just seems like his tracer is a little bit more active. And now instead of just the distance, it has the curve on it
Yeah.
too. And to kind of see, all right, this dude is bombing at 300 yards, and it's got 45 feet of or 45 yards, or I think the curve is in feet,
Mhm.
but it's just a massive hook, and he's still getting it out there.
Yeah.
And then add to that, his short game is phenomenal. His putting is phenomenal.
Mhm.
And on a there was the whole controversy leading up to this about should this major be at Quail Hollow because it hosts a regular PGA Tour event,
Sure.
just not a major. So there's a lot of guys that have a lot of experience here, and we saw that's one of the reasons Scotty and McIlroy were kind of the betting favorites here, because this course in particular favors the long hitter,
Mhm.
just and then favors the long, accurate hitters. Because once you get it off the fairway, 2Ks, that's gnarly.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
That is
You're in
gnarly.
trouble. Yep.
Which you and I would probably lose a dozen Pro
Lose a lot of
V1s
golf balls.
per
Yeah.
nine.
Yes.
Per nine. Well, 2Ks, we got some other news here. Let's go to baseball from Underdog MLB over on Twitter. Ronald Acuna Jr. to begin rehab assignment Tuesday. And we actually, did you see the video of him? I believe it was his second or third at bat, just drop dick. Looks as if old Ronnie is healthy.
Yeah.
And he even went on, he was interviewed after the game, and with the whole Twitter controversy about him and Jared Kelnick, and seems like everything's kind of smoothed over.
Sure, absolutely, and yeah, and it's exciting to see. I mean, not that I'm a huge Braves fan or that I'm rooting for them or anything like that, but you're talking about one of the best players,
Yeah.
probably arguably the most polarizing player in the game, and we won a calendar year and haven't been able to have him on the field, and so now getting him back, Braves are 5.5 games back in that division. Going to be very, very tough with him to even catch up with the Mets and the Phillies, but still, it's great for baseball to get we're close to getting him back. I mean, MVP caliber player, and so yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, he he is must watch TV,
Mhm.
and probably, I mean, he's not your prototypical leadoff hitter, but he hits for average. He's very fast. He's very powerful. So kind of in plays a a Gold Glove esque
Mhm.
outfield, whether it's right field, center field, wherever they put him. And with this Braves team, the way they've kind of been on a little resurgence here after a horrible start,
Horrible start. Yeah.
horrible start. It seems like they've kind of they kind of greased their wheels a little bit, and they're moving in the right direction. So Braves fans, that is a very good sign for you guys. But let's see here. Let's save that. All right. That's about all the news 2Ks. I want to save the rest of them until we get into the baseball here. So let's talk. Let's enter into some kind of uncharted waters for us. Some NBA. Some NBA. And before we jump into the conference semis, how we got here, and then give you our picks kind of moving forward, 2Ks, I want to get, we really haven't talked since the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this has garnered a lot of attention because the Mavericks, with a 1.2% chance, 1.2 or 1.8, I can't remember which one, it ends up getting basically they're capturing the flag, if
Mm-hmm.
you will.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a corny little take on that, but that's what the kids are saying these days, 2Ks. And I probably don't have to reiterate the narrative here that a lot of people are talking about. We kind of all know during the regular season, the NBA ratings were probably the lowest they've been in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not, I'm not saying this happened. I'm not even saying allegedly. I'm just saying, what if Adam Silver got on the phone and was like, "Hey, Mavs, trade Luka to the Lakers, team him up with LeBron, but we'll give you the first overall pick.
Yeah.
So you can trade one white and get another one." And now there's even a lot of people going out there, 2K, saying that Cooper Flag is going to be a better pro than Luka is. I'm not buying that. I think Cooper Flag will be a very good player. But as far as this whole controversy thing is concerned, I don't think that's the way it works.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, and they're two totally different players. You have Luca, who, he requires the ball to be in his hands. He's the creator. Even when he went to the Lakers, he has the ball in his hands more than LeBron.
Mm.
So that just goes to show you right there that he's a creator. Now Cooper Flag, he is not. Now, if you want to talk all around player,
Yeah.
he's gonna be an above average defensive player. He's gonna be a better probably a better player in the paint and everything. Not going to be the shooter that Luca is. Not going to be the creator. Not going to be able to beat guys off the dribble. Not that exciting player that Luca is offensively. But as far as all around, he's going to be a solid offensive player, and he's going to be a good defense player. He's going to be a very good pro. I just don't think there's going to be a day where Cooper Flag is going to be the best player on a team that is winning championships.
Mm.
I just don't. I don't think that he's that style of player. He's not. LeBron James. He's not even Carmelo Anthony, type player that, where you think about guys that went, 1 overall or 2 overall, or just how loaded that 2003 draft was. But yeah, as far as this being staged and this being, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, shit. You go back to that 2003 draft. You cannot tell me that they did not set that up for Cleveland to end up getting the hometown kid in LeBron. You fast forward a few years. You go to Derrick Rose with Chicago, being the Chicago kid. He ends up with the Bulls. The Bulls, weren't even in the running for that. Wembanyama getting taken by the Spurs. Patrick Ewing going to the Knicks. Like, it's all
Tim Duncan with the Spurs.
Yes, like you cannot tell me that all this stuff is not rigged. I wouldn't argue that for a second, but in my opinion, I still go back to that trade. It was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Mavericks, I'm firing Nico and getting rid of him because he doesn't deserve to have the #1 pick because he's probably gonna fuck this up too. Like, I wouldn't be so convinced that he's not gonna trade this pick or something. Do
someone
something
else
fucking
can
crazy
capture the
with
flag.
it. Yeah. So because that's the thing. Like, they win this. They win this lottery. Maybe it wasn't rigged or whatnot. But could you imagine having Luca and what they already had, and then bringing Cooper Flag in over there to it? Because, like, I would rather have Cooper Flag in today's game than have Anthony Davis right now.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, Anthony Davis is injury riddled. Like, obviously, Hall of Fame career. Like, he's a great player, but if you're going to get a 19, 20-year-old Cooper Flag right now, I'm taking that over Anthony Davis. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's just one of them. Like, when it happened, when the lottery went out and you found out that the Mavericks got it, that was kind of the first thing that I thought too, was this shit's fucking rigged. Like,
yeah,
Nico Harrison took so much heat. That was the talk of the whole second half of the season, was just how stupid that trade was. Worst trade that has ever happened. The Mavericks, I mean, and if the Mavericks wanted to trade Luka, fine, but why not shop him?
Right.
why not see what offers you can get, because they got absolutely nothing for that.
No, no, just an aging Anthony Davis.
Hmm.
You are right. Well, 2Ks. Let's focus on the here and now. We're down to the last four. On the west side, we've got Thunder and Timberwolves. On the east side, we got Pacers and Knicks. Now let's kind of take a step back here and kind of now with I do want to touch on the Nuggets here just for a little bit. This was the only series that went 7 out of all four of them. And after the game, the one of the reporters was interviewing Joker. They said, "Well, how do you feel? How do you feel after this loss?" And he said, "Well, it's a tough loss, but here in the next couple days, a lot of beer will be drank," which further cements why I love this guy. He's an absolute legend, and I was watching Pardon My Take the other day, and they had Mike Miller on, and Mike played with him very young in Joker's career, and he said that even back then that guy's the best player on this team. Didn't really get it going until later in his career, so kind of sucks that we didn't we missed out on this version of Joker when he came into the league, because if that were the case, 2Ks, we're talking about a completely generational talent, one of arguably one of the best ever. But yeah, he wants, now that the season's over, he's gonna drink some beers.
Yeah.
So love that, love every bit of that. You want to start on the West or the East, or 2Ks?
We can start with the West. I mean, that's the freshest one. Thunder
Yeah.
won today.
Yeah. My major question coming into this is, are we done with this version of the Warriors? Is this kind of is it done?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't want to say that it's completely done, because we've seen some weird things happen as far as in off seasons and teams bringing over players, but I just I don't think it's the same version of Steph, even though we still got to the playoffs. But his body's not didn't hold up through the playoffs, through the game. Seems like he had missed some time. Draymond, he's just not the same Draymond that we've seen for years and years. They don't have Klay Thompson anymore. That he was there, kind of their X factor on that team, because he was a great shooter. And even though Steph got all the credit because he's the greatest shooter of all time,
Yep.
but then you think about how good Klay was defensively, and just how how good he was really all around, and you weren't able to play the style of defenses that teams do on Steph now, trying to take away the shot, because you couldn't do that, because then you were leaving Klay Thompson,
Yep.
wide open. So they have to get shooters, but they have to get younger. I mean, that's the thing with it.
100%.
100%. Like your two best players are two of the older players in the league now. Like these are aging vets now. So it's sad to say, because they were such a fun team to watch for so long, and they won so many championships. But and that's what they always will have, is they're one of the greatest teams of all time that they had there for a long stretch. I mean, and they have to be put in that in that category of being one of the greatest of all time. So kudos to them for that. But yeah, I think those days are over, and especially when you're talking about the West too, because we're looking at this Thunder team, we're looking at this Timberwolves team, and some of the top end teams in the West that are so good. Even if if you want to throw, I understand that the Warriors beat them, but the Houston Rockets can be put in the category too, because those teams all have one thing in common: they're very, very young, and they don't have players that are leaving anytime soon. So they're just going to continue to build around them, and I think honestly, I know that seeding wise and it doesn't match up. The Thunder are number one, and I think what's it say, Timberwolves are the 6th seed.
Yep.
But I think the Timberwolves are a top 2 or 3 team in the West. They weren't playing very, very good basketball in the beginning of the season.
Because wasn't everyone hurt to start out the season?
Yes, and then and Julius Randle, who in my opinion, since these playoffs have started, has been maybe the best player on this Timberwolves team, and a major reason why they're why they've won the last series, and why they're still playing here today. But and then obviously Anthony Edwards being the next up and coming star, in the NBA. I think he's potentially has that potential to be the face of the NBA here, and if he's already not, you know what I mean. So no, it's these teams are getting younger, and the Warriors are just keep getting older, and that's why I think that the Warriors' time is over.
Now, what would have been a really cool conspiracy, allegedly, say the Warriors don't make the playoffs, they get the number one overall
Yeah.
pick. Next thing you know, they're capturing the flag,
Yeah.
and is kind of passing the torch from one superstar to the other, and kind of getting back to the whole Steph thing here. That's the reason I brought it up, is because this team goes as he goes.
Mhm.
Let's be 100% honest. It's not Draymond, but Draymond helps.
Yeah.
But there really isn't anyone, any other household name on that team to where you could point to be like, all right, dude, I need 25 from you
Yeah.
tonight, because it's not happening. And this is a Steph that you brought up, that there's a lot of folks that are saying that this is Steph's generation, not LeBron's generation,
Mhm.
but Steph's generation, which that's a debate for a whole other time.
Mhm.
But you could just see it in every single highlight that I saw, every single, I caught a handful of a Warriors games this year, and it just didn't seem like he had that snap, that panache, if you will.
Yeah.
And unless you're Tom Brady, Father Time wins every
Yeah.
single time.
100%. 100%.
And and to start off Steph's career, that was his big knock. He was always hurt.
Always
He
hurt.
could never stay on the floor. But during this run, he's been, for the most part, healthy.
Mhm.
And then towards the end of that run, it was Clay was the one that was always,
Mhm.
always getting hurt. And now, I mean, granted, I'll go out. I'm not gonna shock the world here, but the league is better when Steph Curry's healthy, and this
100%.
Warriors team is good. But I think we're way closer to the end than we are even the middle.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, and to make it to this point in the playoffs, 2Ks, I think the Warriors are very fortunate. They won seven games to the Rockets, and the only way to, now granted, they Steph got hurt in that
Steph got hurt
Warriors
in the series, so
series.
it was hard to
Yeah,
really. I mean, once he went down, it was like it was
this is
obvious.
done.
There was no, yeah, this team was done. There's no way. They did make the addition, brought in Jimmy Butler, and that was huge for them, especially back end of the season, the
Yeah,
regular season, getting them in, even getting into the playoffs. And then
playoff
and then
Jimmy.
Jimmy was big in that first series against the Rockets when they got out of that, and then Jimmy was just not very good in this series against the Timberwolves, and. But I think a lot of that has to do with they were trying to ask him, to do more and have the ball in his hands more when normally, you're used to Steph Curry
Yeah,
handling the ball and that whole offense flows through Steph. So when Steph's
hundred
not on the
percent.
floor, it changes everything up. And those guys, they didn't even look like there was any, structure or
Mm-hmm.
anything, rhythm to their offense once Curry went down. So it was unfortunate to watch, but at the same time, like can't take anything away from Minnesota. I mean, they showed up. Anthony Edwards played outstanding in that series, and then like I said earlier, Julius Randle. I mean, it might be the best player that I've seen so far in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
just from what he's doing. So
Ooh, excuse me. Now on the other side of that, Thunder Nuggets. I mean, this was
it's a hell of a series.
yeah, this was a Nuggets team that, I mean, Clippers pushed them to 7. This one went to 7. And, leading up to this, I mean, they fire the coach very, very close to the playoffs. And everyone's like, all right, this team's just cooked. They're done.
Mm,
Why else would they fire the
mm,
coach? And then they go on this run. And yes, ended up getting blown out in game 7. But you could tell in about game 5 ish of this series, Joker was out of gas.
yeah.
He was completely exhausted.
Oh, and that's the thing with the Thunder is they're so deep. They're the deepest team in the NBA, and they just keep throwing bodies at
Yeah.
him and guarding him all different ways. And to me, I thought Jokic really, and for his standards, had a really, really bad series. Even
Mhm.
though they were able to go 7 games, I thought he had a really bad. Wasn't putting up the kind of numbers that he's been putting up all season long. And for that reason, like it wasn't that he was playing bad. You just have to give credit to the Thunder and how they defended him and
Mhm.
what they did. I mean, they kind of drew up the blueprint on how to defend him and kind of push him off of the elbow where he kind of catches the ball and runs his whole offense, and they were able to kind of push him out of there. And in the beginning of that series, especially after game one, where the Thunder lost, or Thunder Nuggets won the game one, it was like, man, the Thunder might be in trouble here because they don't have anybody that can match up with just how big Jokic is,
Yeah.
because he was just pushing guys around. And then the Thunder come out and the rest of the series, they defend him a whole different way. I think they kind of bought into, like, we're not going to be able to just push this guy around with Chet, or we're not going to be able to push this guy around with, was it Hannestein or whatever the other big guy is. They had to just throw all their bodies. I mean, there's times today where you saw a little Caruso out there, guarding, slapping at the ball, guarding him. And I mean, they were just throwing bodies at him from all different directions. And,
Mhm.
and, by doing that, you're giving up wide open looks. But, when the Nuggets have a guy like Russell Westbrook on the floor, you're willing to give him that
Yeah.
wide open shot.
Yeah.
And Porter, he didn't knock down shots like he has all season long. So they were willing to, kind of give up open shots. And I thought really the only guy they weren't willing to leave was Murray, but everybody else they were kind of willing to just leave them and make somebody that's not Jokic, or that somebody that's not Murray, beat them in that series, and they were not able to do that. So, but credit to the Thunder, they're so deep. They're so deep. There's been a lot of people that have said they don't really have a true scorer outside of Shy, but they got fucking 7, 8, 9 guys that they can put in
Mhm.
throughout their rotation, and it's like one night it could be Caruso throwing up 15 points. Another night it can be Jalen Williams is throwing up 20 some points. The next day Chet's putting up 20 some, and then they have some days where they got 3 or 4 of them that are all in the 20s. And when they do that, kind of like what they did today, nobody's gonna beat them.
Right.
So,
So, prediction time 2Ks. Thunder Timberwolves. Who you got? How many games?
man, this is a pretty intriguing matchup, because to me, I think you have two of the best players in the game as far as what they can do off the dribble. Edwards is a better shooter than Alexander, but Shai gets to the basket better than anybody in the NBA. He draws fouls better than anybody in the NBA, with exception of maybe Brunson. Um, I think this series has all the potential to go 7 games. I really do. And if I had to pick one right now, um, if I had to pick right now, I would probably go with the Timberwolves. And the only reason I say that is because I think Anthony Edwards and is right now, maybe with the 4 teams that are here in the end, I think Anthony Edwards is maybe the best out of all of them. I know there's going to be a lot of Thunder fans that are pissed about that statement, but I think I might take Anthony Edwards over Shy right now. And just because of his outside shooting, and he has the potential to throw up and make 6 or 7 threes in a game, and I don't think Alexander's ever going to do that. And then with how Julius Randle's been playing, number 2, I think the Timberwolves maybe are the team that wins this series. But I think there's a good chance it goes 7 games.
So you got T Wolves in 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Thunder in 7. Even though I agree with everything you just said, I just don't want to pick the same as you. Let's go to the East. We got Packers, Pacers, Knicks.
This is another series that could very easily go 7 games, and it wouldn't shock me one bit. Like, this Pacers team has gotten hot. They kind of remind me of the Timberwolves. They've gotten hot at the right time, and they're playing their best basketball in the biggest time of the season. And then this Knicks team, they just fucking grind. They are a grinding team. There was nobody that gave them even a chance of beating the Celtics.
Especially when you're down 20 points in like 3 consecutive games. Come back and win all 3.
And they just grind, and they have.
Sorry.
Brunson is the most clutch player in the NBA, maybe the most clutch player that I've ever watched in the NBA. Like, that dude hits big shots after big shots. I don't know if I've seen him miss a shot in the fourth quarter of a game. Like, he hits everything.
Even after the Pistons beat the ever living shit out of him.
Yeah, and like. And this time of the year, you have to have that. You have to have a guy that in the fourth quarter you can hand him the ball and basically play ISO ball and let them go to work. And Brunson right now, I mean, he showed it in that Celtics series. Like, there was moments in fourth quarters of those games where he just completely put the team on his back, and everybody in the fucking arena knew that he was going to take the shot, and he still was able to make the shot every single time. So they're a tough beat, and I know that's like, as good as the Pacers are playing and they fit at the right time, I gotta go. I have to go with the Knicks on this one. I think the Knicks win this series. That series, the Celtics, in my opinion, were the best team in the NBA all season. I know that at Cleveland had a better record than them, but I thought the Celtics were the best all around team, especially when they were knocking down shots. They just were so good. And then obviously you have the Tatum injury, and when Tatum goes down, it was like that was kind of it. The Knicks
Yeah.
go up 3-1, and then Tatum's injury goes down, and that fucking sucks. That's pretty much the end of that Celtics team.
Yes.
They're gonna have to make some major changes this offseason to get under the luxury tax, and then they're just not going to be the same roster anymore. But like what the Knicks did to them in that series, where nobody was picking them, nobody, even their own fucking fans were not picking them. And
Maybe Gary V.
they go out
That's
there
about
and
it.
they fall behind in the first two games, and you just thought the Celtics were just going to steamroll them, and they came back in both of them in the fourth quarter and
Yep.
won those games. Like they're scrappy, and Karl Anthony Towns is a stud, and even Mikal Bridges, like stud. Josh Hart is just a dog. Like the dude fucking gets 15, 16 rebounds every single game, and he's probably what 6'5", 6'6". Like,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely no size to him, but just as a dog. And I just think that they're a scrappy team, and the Pacers are playing so well right now. But I think the Knicks win this, and I think this one goes 6. I think there's a good chance it goes 7, but I'm gonna go 6 games. Knicks take it.
I'll go Pacers in 7. I'll go Pacers. What Halliburton's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, you could argue that two of the games against the Cavs, back-to-back nights, walk-off threes to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Close games. But like you said, Cavs are number one team in the East for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
This is just, it seems like, I hate to use this, team of destiny bullshit, but it kind of gives you that vibe a little bit.
And the Cavs are good, but the only thing I thought everything worked into the Pacers' favor in that series because you had, Darius Garland who was injured and missed multiple games in that. You had Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year, and he was hurt for a majority of that series and wasn't playing. Everything kind of played into the Pacers, and not to discredit because they played great, and Halliburton has been arguably one of the best players in the playoffs this season alone. But it was like everything kind of played into with the Cavs, and their team just kind of fell apart at the wrong time. Like they were the best team in the NBA, had the best record, can't take anything away from them for that, but their team just fell apart at the wrong time of the season. Like you're rolling into the playoffs, you want to be playing your best basketball, and unfortunately with injuries, they just were not playing their best. And
that's what happens with the team of destiny, dude.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
And that's where like I think the Pacers so far, even though like they beat the Bucks, and the Bucks were just other than Giannis, they had nobody.
None.
Lillard was hurt for the beginning of the series, then he comes back, then he gets hurt again, and he's out for the rest of the series. And then it just played into their favor with the Cavs. Well, this Knicks team's not. They're not banged up. They're not hurt. They play, and I just think the Knicks are the better team out of them. I could be dead wrong, but
well, let's take a peek at the odds here, 2Ks, before we give the folks our NBA championship pick, even though it's not going to happen until like July. So
yeah, no shit.
OKC is -1, and this is through FanDuel. # sponsored, not sponsored. Want to be sponsored. OKC -185. Huge favorite here, 2Ks. Followed by the Knicks at +490. T-Wolves +600. Pacers +800. And I will admit to you, I have already put my Pacers +800. Smashed it. Smashed it.
Yeah, it's not a bad looking bet, especially with those odds.
So who is your 2024-2025 NBA champion 2Ks on May 18th?
I'm gonna go Minnesota. I think Minnesota takes out the Knicks.
And wins his first one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate that.
I have so much respect for that dude. I think he is going to be the next major face of the NBA, especially United States. You can talk about Luka, but he's not obviously not from the U.S. When you think of the best player in the NBA right now, as far as maybe not there right this minute, but potential and everything that lines up with that, I think he's going to win he's going to win some. Now he already has an Olympic gold medal, but he's going to win an Olympic gold medal where he's the guy. He's the number one guy, and I just think that for the next few years, like he's going to be the new face of the NBA. He's going to kind of overtake that from the LeBrons, the Stephs, those guys that are they're aging. And we're not going to see. We've seen some amazing things out of those guys, but their years are. I mean, we don't know how many more years. I don't see either one of them playing for more than a couple more years, and that's best case scenario in my opinion.
So LeBron might want to play with his grandson. So you never know.
And
You never know.
so I think that they get it. Anthony Edwards, as far as if he's playing against the Knicks, he's the best player on the floor. It's also kind of a cool story with Julius Randle being over there and then now being with Minnesota. They made the trade as far as Karl Anthony Towns being with the Knicks. He was with Minnesota, so that trade, okay,
Playing out in
obviously
real
worked
life.
out for both teams. So I think that would be a pretty exciting series with those two teams. I think there's a good chance that honestly that series could go 7 games. But if I'm picking right now, I think the Timberwolves are they're peaking at the right time.
Hey, and especially plus 600. I'd smash that now. Smash that now, because if they do make a run, and this is a quick 2-0 T-Wolves lead, you're going to see that 600 be about 200.
Yeah.
So if you like that number, hop on it. This is not gambling advice, but it kind of is. Well, 2Ks, let's jump over to some baseball here. I do have some it's a lot of the tweets that I'm going to feature are either because we haven't talked about Skeens. Let's talk about Skeens here right out the gate, and then there's a lot of Tigers and Red Sox, and then we'll kind of fill in the rest of the league here as we go. 2Ks, this is from today, and if you are a Buccos fan, if you're not following Platinum Brian over on Twitter, you need to. This dude he's like my go-to for Pirates information. But Paul Skeens this afternoon. Now, mind you, this was a complete game. Skeens' first ever complete game, even though it says 8 innings. Complete game. 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, 102 pitches, 71 strikes, 22 whiffs. Complete game. 1-0 loss. Pain. Now, 2Ks, we've been seeing this not to this extent that the Pirates are losing like this, but they are. It's definitely not 1-0 every Paul Skeens outing, but it seems like more than not that this team is not. There's basically not a team around him, even though we both love O'Neal Cruz. Ke'Bryan Hayes is one of the best defensive third basemen. His bat really hasn't come along like a lot of other folks have hoped. But the rest of the pitching staff, I mean, Jones is hurt. They got another young kid that's up. What was his name? Bubba something, I think, or something like that. But this team is just so far away. And as we're sitting here right now, 2Ks, they are 15-32. 13 games back of the Cubs, and a -62 run differential. Now, I know run differential doesn't paint a very broad picture, but I think in this case it does, considering the Cubs sit atop this division at 28-19 with a run differential of +70. That's 132 runs separating the two there, 2Ks. Now, not that it has yet, but I think that even folks in Pittsburgh are clamoring that, hey, we should not to get rid of this guy, but we need to trade him because, especially with a pitcher, he's hot. He has been since he made his debut last year. You got to get something for him. And right now, the market, the market could get hotter, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
And if you look around, there's a lot of teams that need pitching. There's not going to be a lot. Now, this is just my opinion, 2Ks. There's not going to be a whole lot of. There's probably going to be a whole lot of sellers, but as far as the pieces that are coveted, I really don't think we're going to see many of them. You're going to see bullpen arms, which are always hot commodities at the trade deadline, and rightfully so. But yes, it would take a king's ransom to get this kid. Unless you kind of play off, all right, well, what did the Red Sox, get in return for Mookie Betts? Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
That was on the Red Sox. If you're the Dodgers, you gratefully, here you go. Here you go. Sure. Go ahead. But no, and with the way this whole Pirates organization is run, 2Ks, maybe there is an opportunity they'll get fleeced. But I think this is not the conversation we want to be having.
Right.
I mean, this is Pittsburgh, the park itself is beautiful. The fan base is awesome. Yinzers everywhere. Iron City beer, love every part of it. And yes, they do have Skeens under control for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's young, throws 1,000,000 miles an hour, spins everything. What does that kind of add up to that we've seen in the past? TJ. Not that we're putting it out there, not that we wish it. It's just the numbers kind of back that up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Pirates, you have to be. This has to be a conversation ongoing in.
You have to be willing to listen. That's for damn sure. I mean, like a guy that pitches once every 5 days. I get it. He has the potential to be the best pitcher in baseball. He is right now in his second season, and last year didn't even play a full season. Is probably a top 3 pitcher in all of baseball. I will give him that. For a lot of people, he's probably their number 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's obviously an argument to be made on that. So you have to be willing to listen, because this guy can only affect a game once every 5 days. This is an organization that has nothing going for them.
No.
They don't have anything to build around when it comes to their everyday lineup. They don't have anything to build around when it comes to the rest of that pitching staff. He's the only guy on the fucking roster that anybody's ever even heard of, other than aging Andrew McCutchen.
Right.
Like, they have nothing. So I'm not saying that you trade the guy, but I'm saying that if somebody offers, and it has to be the biggest haul of all time of a trade, because that's the caliber of player that he is, you have to at least be willing to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you do it, but if some team blows you away, and I think there's an opportunity that is there. There's some teams that are on the a couple of the best teams in baseball also have the top farm systems in all of baseball, and they're trying to win World Series, not just one, but 2, 3, 4 in a row. Like stack them together here. I think they would be willing to give up a lot of what they have coming for this pitcher that they can throw in there as their number 1 guy and throw it on the team right now. I mean, they have to be willing to listen, and that's all I'm saying. Like I'm not saying you do it, but if somebody offers you the biggest haul of all time, you better fucking think about it. That's for sure.
And as a Red Sox fan, arguably the best farm system in baseball.
100%. But that trade has to involve Roman and Marcelo.
And at this point, if they're still down there, this guy can play tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And that's just your headliners.
Yeah, that's
because there's going to be 3 or 4 other guys that are going to have to be put in that trade too. But your headliners are going to have those 2 names on there.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be.
And if I'm Pittsburgh in that, Skeens has the potential to be the number 1 pitcher in all of baseball. I'm fucking taking that trade.
Yeah. But it would take, in my opinion, it would take a haul like that.
Oh, 100%. Has to. If somebody doesn't offer you a haul like that, you hang up the phone. Like we're not even having the conversation.
Yeah, or that's.
But like I'm trying to build my roster and I'm trying to build my team off of a position player. I want one of the best position players that bats and plays every single day for me. Not that pitching's not important,
right?
But there's only 3, 4 pitchers in baseball that are actual dudes. Like other than that, it's just a bunch of. There's some really good pitchers.
Yeah.
But there's not. You have Skeens, you got Scooble, you got probably you can throw Yamamoto from the Dodgers in that argument now.
And Shea is getting there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in that top dude. He's right on the edge.
Yep.
Right on the edge. I need to see more from him.
Yep.
But the more we see of him, I think you're going to see him go up there. But that being said, lefty righty, Crochet Skeens. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? The Red Sox can draft and develop position players. They can draft, but somehow not like the pitching sucks. So Red Sox Nation, I'm not putting that out there, but I think that's going to be kind of the haul that's going to have to, unless Pirates organization being the Pirates organization.
Like if I'm the Pirates and I'm working with Boston on this, I want Anthony, I want Marcelo, and I want Christian Campbell, who's already playing there in the bigs. I want players that are already playing too, and that have proven that they can do it at this time. And if Red Sox don't want to give that up, which if I'm the Red Sox, I'm not giving that up for him. But if you're not willing to give that up, then all right, we're just going to keep the best pitcher in baseball. We're fine with that.
And he still has
they're
control.
in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
It's not like
they have the piece that everyone wants. They set the market for it. So just But again, I think after this year, they still have 4 more years of control of him. So the likelihood of him getting moved this season, highly unlikely.
Slim to none.
But the conversation has to be had.
Yeah,
So
and I think that also when to see a big trade like that where you're talking about one of the best pitchers in all of baseball has all that team control, you know, those are the moves that I think happen more
off
often than
season,
not in the off
yeah,
season at the winter meetings where you can get teams that are sitting down and talking and they can go through what they want. These trade deadline trades, these are spur of the moment,
yeah,
like got to get these deals done. And what we've seen here in recent years is there's really not a lot of big time players that are moving on trade deadline day. It's teams that are shoring up bullpens,
yeah.
teams that are trying to add a left-handed batter, a right-handed batter, something like that. We're not really seeing the big time,
No.
moves. So when you see the big names going, it more often than not, it's during the off season.
Speaking of big names, let's keep on the pitching side here. Let's talk about your boy Scoobs. This is from Woodward Sports Network over on Twitter. If you're a Tigers fan, follow this account. Scott Harris gives an update on Tariq Scooble's contract extension. He says, "We can't just decide we're going to sign him. It takes two parties and some understanding of the parameters of a deal, and it takes a willingness on both sides to do it." Now, I believe it was this one or maybe another one. I commented to be like, well, a check with a whole shit ton of zeros might help this process a little bit, and was obviously said it as a joke, kind of, but a check with a lot of zeros, like I said, it helps the conversation go from just me and you talking to this is how committed we are. To which I was just smacked in the mouth by a bunch of Tigers fans going, he's a Scott Boras client. Now that the season's going, you won't hear about this until the offseason. Yeah. Okay, but you know what? They should have never let it come to this. Now, again, same people clapped back and said, well, Boras likes his clients to see free agency. Okay, but that doesn't stop the Tigers from being like, hey, here's a check. This is kind of where we're at.
Well, and I think just with how things have played off the last few off seasons, that there's going to be more and more players that don't necessarily listen to what Scott Boras says because his way is not really working anymore.
No.
There's a lot of them that end up without a fucking job, or they end up do eventually sign to a 1 year deal or some short term deal, and they're not getting a long term deal. I think what Scooble wants in this is, and I would be shocked if I'm what I'm saying or what I'm about to say is wrong. I think Scooble wants to be locked in Detroit for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I think he just wants to get paid the money that he deserves. And I think I would be shocked if the Tigers don't make it happen.
And the Tigers have a blueprint. Okay. Red Sox and Garrett Crochet. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you sign him for, but at least there's a comparable offer. Now, yes, Scooble's made the playoffs, Triple Crown winner, Cy Young Award winner, looking to go back to back in all four of those things I just said. So, yes, he is going to garner more, but you have a baseline. And if the Tigers are trying to get below that baseline, then obviously not. But I don't think this is the Tiger. This Tigers regime has already proven that they are not at Avila. They are not. I mean that train is gone. So give it a minute. Give it a minute. I think things will be fine. Your boy is not going anywhere. It would shock the hell out of me.
Oh, absolutely.
Shock the hell out of me.
And I think Scooble's the guy too, that he's quiet, he's not a big time talker. I would say a lot of this, them not getting a deal done, I would say he wanted a deal done before this season started, but once this season started, he didn't care to talk about it anymore. Just go about the business. I'm going to go out there and win another Cy Young. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to hopefully make a run at a World Series, and then we'll talk at the end of the season about making a deal. And I think it'll eventually happen. I hope it eventually happens. I mean, if there's anything to be said though, since Chris Ilitch has taken over, is he does not like to spend money, and that's makes it a little bit scary because his dad we would have never seen this day with a pitcher like Scooble. You go back to when they needed to pay Verlander, they got that shit done, and it was done, and they made him the highest paid pitcher at the time, and nothing was said about it. They just went and got the shit done. A little bit of a different story now with Ilitch, but I think as what you're seeing right now in Detroit, like the resurgence of Detroit, just in all as far as for sports, Chris Ilitch has to see that, and
Yeah.
he has to know like, okay, these fans are fucking showing out at the ballpark now. They love this team. This team is they grind. They are right now. I mean, I get it. We're only a month and a half into the season, but they are the best team in baseball right now, record wise. You have to spend money to be able to keep that. You want to keep this stadium full, and it starts right here with your franchise pitcher,
Yeah.
your most important player, on your team, kind of the one that you've built this whole thing around.
100%.
You have to go. You have to pay him and take care of him, and we'll go from there. So I think I think they'll get it done.
I do too. You know what else is getting done? 2Ks. Christian Campbell's taking reps at first base. Now, this was a video, and obviously I just screenshotted this. But if you're that coach, you're sitting on a bucket with a pitching machine throwing little grounders. I retweeted it and said, is the pitching machine necessary? I mean, come on. It's this. That is as fast as that motherfucker's going. So, Red Sox, I love you. But you got to get that coach off his ass and actually get engaged with this drill.
Yeah.
Now,
especially when you're the worst defensive team in baseball.
Bingo.
You need to get a little bit more active when you're working on your.
Is it because of that guy? Is it because of that guy? This is what they do. Maybe this is the whole fucking reason. Get rid of that guy. Get rid of that guy. Have Alex Cora sit there and throw balls at him. Because this whole drill was ridiculous. I understand that, yes, he plays second base, but you know what? Yes, they were working on backhanding, which as a former first baseman is a very important thing.
Absolutely.
That is a very different thing from playing second base. But it put some pep in the step here, guys.
Yeah.
This is just laziness. Yeah. This is I'm not even sure what they're filming with the fucking camera on the tripod because I just don't get it. But today was day 3 of him training at first base, and he's looking. It's looking like he's going to make the move over to first, which is going to open up a spot for who, who's hitting the fucking cover off the ball. Him and Roman both.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like, and that's what I keep on thinking to myself is like, what the fuck are you waiting for? Because the season's we're just getting further along into the season, and you guys are underperforming more and more. I mean, this is a team that a lot of people talked about as with World Series aspirations and a favorite to at least to win the American League, and here they are now, and just keep on digging a hole deeper and deeper away from the Yankees. It's time to fucking put up or shut up now. And if you have 2 players down in the minors right now that are hitting the cover off the ball, and 2 of the top ranked, one of them being the top ranked prospect in all of baseball, get them the fuck up here. Yeah. Like, let's go. What are you waiting for?
Make it happen. And while we're at it, let's see if Christian Campbell can pitch too.
Yeah, we kind of put that whole thing onto into full perspective in that Boston-Detroit series for both teams. If there's Boston's bullpen is bad, and Detroit's bullpen is not very good either, and I would say right now, if you're gonna nitpick a 31-15 team with Detroit, Detroit is going to have to make a move at this deadline or before this deadline to bolster that bullpen. They have to get somebody that is more reliable on the back end. And I don't know if it's the closer or if it's a setup man. Will Vest has been very, very good. He's going to be one of those, but the Tigers need another one that can do that. So they need it, and it needs to be somebody that can miss bats, because unfortunately they have pretty good arms in the bullpen, but they don't have enough guys other than like Will Vest and occasionally Brisky that can truly miss bats, strike guys out. They have a bunch of guys that more so pitch to contact,
right?
And even though the Tigers come out on top of that series and won those games,
2 of them
their bullpen still, bullpen still, fucked them to even put Boston in the situation of taking those games to extra innings. So, that's one thing I took out of that whole series was Detroit's bullpen is maybe a little bit below average.
And I was completely shocked that we hung 5 on Scoobs and still lost.
Yeah.
Fuck us. But one game they didn't lose was last night, 2Ks. Devers walk-off dinger. This was a game that Atlanta got off to, I believe it was a 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, whatever it was, just right out the gate. Lucas Giolito did not look sharp, looked terrible, as a matter of fact. And Red Sox do what the Red Sox do and keep scrapping. And behind a home run from, this Devers home run was a second or third home run of the game. But Gordo over on Twitter says, Rafael Devers, one of the most needed wins you can imagine. Walk-off winner to complete the comeback from down 6-2 in the seventh. There you go. I again retweeted this and said, what a swing for a player like Devers. It's kind of hard to believe it's his first walk-off home run. Either way, a much-needed win for the Red Sox, which they went on today to actually shit the bed again. So the momentum was not felt after overnight. So, but again, Devers did hit a grand slam that tied it up 4-4 today, but yeah, just wasn't in the cards. Wasn't in the cards. Let's see. I think I hit all of them here. Yep. So 2Ks. Let's take a cruise around the MLB here. We got the Yankees atop the American League East. Nothing's changed there. Red Sox somehow are still second. Your Tigers. Your Tigers 2Ks. And I did have a since that. Oh, here. I did forget this one. This guy himself pretty much beat the Red Sox. You're fucking Javi Baez. Let's kind of put this a little bit into perspective here, too. Okay, this is from Jeff Rigler over on Twitter. Javi Baez, 319, 27 RBIs, 34 games and an insane walk-off, second 3-run dong of the day. Bobby Witt Jr., 319, 25 RBIs, 44 games. Shohei Ohtani, 308, 21 RBIs, 40 games. So your boy has more RBIs and fewer games than Bobby Witt Jr. and Shohei Ohtani, and has a better just as good a batting average as Bobby Witt, and a higher batting average than the great one Shohei. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of put that into perspective, and
batting ninth.
Yeah.
So that not only speaks volumes of what Javi's done, but it speaks volumes of what the Tigers roster has done from top to bottom. There's not a bat in that lineup that jumps off the table at you, but there's not a bat in that lineup that is a pushover. You have to battle through all 9 guys in the lineup, and I think that's what makes them so good, and what makes them so tough to, to kind of to pitch through, because not only is it those 9 guys, but it can be anybody. Hinch has 2 or 3 guys coming off the bench on a nightly basis that are making a big deal. I mean, we saw that with, Javi had the walk-off in game 2 of that series to win it, but then we see it the next day where he ends up pinch hitting Malloy off the bench just and he's the one that hits the walk-off single on it. So, and over the time he's got Andy Ibanez that he can throw in there, who crushes left-handed pitching for the most part. So he's always got somebody that he can slide into a position, and that's what I think makes this team so hard to pitch against, is because it's not the same guys that are doing it all the time. It's not always Riley Green, or it's not always Spencer Torkelson. Torkelson has been very, very good in clutch moments this year, but so have 6, 7 other guys on this team. So, is it going to hold up all season long? Is Javi Baez going to bat 300? Is it, I have to believe that there's going to be a time where everybody kind of hits reality, and reality's going to catch up, and I don't see Javi being a 300 hitter, but if Javi can bat 250, 260 and hit 20 home runs and play legitimate defense, whether it's center field, third base, shortstop, wherever you want to put him, I think any Tigers fan in the world would be A-okay with that.
Especially considering the years leading up to this, any sort of heartbeat out of this guy would have been a just miraculous thing. And he's, and there was a lot of people saying he wasn't healthy the whole time. Mm-hmm. He looks healthy now. He looks better. He looks better right now than he did his whole tenure with the Cubs.
Yeah, and that's the thing too that I keep going back to and hoping for is, like, you saw the best versions of Javi in the biggest moments, whether it was in the World Series run that he had when he was with the Cubs,
World Baseball Classic,
whether it was him doing it with the bat or him doing it with the glove, and And now, with what we're seeing here with this Tigers team being the best team in baseball record wise right now, you're seeing him flash not only hitting walk off home runs, but he's flashing leather in a position that he's never even played in his career.
Over the head catch in center field.
Yeah, and then turning
Diving.
around, and then getting up and throwing the ball off of his knee to throw the guy out that couldn't get back to first on the tag up. And so if you can get that version, like, and say the Tigers do go on a run here and they do make the playoffs, well, there's going to be at-bats and games in the playoffs that are the biggest at-bats of the entire season. And more often than not, when Baez is in this, when he's seeing the ball, especially like in his time with the Cubs, now we haven't seen him in big moments with the Tigers yet, but he's a clutch hitter. Like in big moments, he is that guy, and he makes big plays and kind of rises to the occasion. Boston will tell you all about that.
Yeah,
And
fuck that.
and so he's a guy that, yeah, like when the Tigers get to the playoffs this year and they're playing a big game and a big moment, and Javi Baez is coming to the plate, I don't know if there's anybody else in the lineup that I'd rather have going to the plate than him in a big time situation.
He obviously World Series champion. Gleyber Torres has a lot of postseason experience.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, you don't think of him as clutch in any of those.
No,
but he's very solid.
Mm-hmm.
Very solid. Not a whole lot of aside from their run last year, which I think is going to pay huge dividends this year. We've been here, we've done that. No one, I mean, everyone counted us out.
Yeah.
You know, Detroit against everyone, or Detroit against the world, or whatever the hell they were doing, is going to be prove dividend.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that sucks is this Central Division has sucked for many years. Now, throw out the White Sox. This is probably the deepest division. There's deepest Central Division that we've seen in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a while. Now, granted, they've opened up a 5-game lead with the Twins, 5.5 with the Guards, 5.5 with the Royals. I think you and I can both sit here and say we're very shocked that the Twins are on the roll that they are, winning 9 of their last 10. You said they lost today, correct? Mm-hmm. Between them and the Cardinals, I think are kind of the oh shit.
Yeah.
Like these guys are for real.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are for real. And both teams are, let's see, St. Louis is 2 games out from the Cubs. And let's see, 26 and 21. 20. They both have the same exact record.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is the Tigers have a better record than the Cubs, which is why, they're 5 games up rather than 2. St. Louis has plus 38 run differential. The Twins have plus 35. Mm-hmm. So essentially, they're the same fucking team. Mm-hmm. That being said, 2Ks, and they're both the Cards are 8-2 in their last 10. Who do you think has the better chance to make the playoffs? Cardinals or Twins? I'll give you mine out the gate, and because I this was posed, I can't remember on what podcast I was listening to, but I'm going to take the Twins just for the sheer fact that they play the White Sox.
Yeah, but then you can also say that every Cardinals play the Pirates.
Yeah, but you can also, but they play just as many games against the Guards and the Royals too. Mm-hmm. And if you look at that, the NL Central, they play the Reds and the Brewers, which you have to give, even though the records are very similar. I would think that the Royals and Guards are harder competition than the Reds and the Brewers. Mm. Even though the Reds have been, they're winners of 4 straight.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't really take them seriously at all.
No.
I think eventually the Cardinals are gonna fall off on this. In Minnesota, I think they have a legitimate shot of making the playoffs, but I think there's an argument to be made that those other 2 teams there are better than they are.
Oh, hands down.
All 4 of those teams in the Central are
legit.
Like mm-hmm. They're good teams. They all have pretty good pitching staffs. They all have pretty good offenses. I think the Tigers are definitely the best all-around team in that division from mm-hmm. what we've seen so far. But can't forget what the Guardians were last year. And they were the team that knocked the Tigers out of the playoffs. And for all of last season. The Twins were probably the best team in that division until they just completely choked in the last month of the season. And then the Royals. Royals are kind of in the same situation as the Tigers as far as I think the Tigers have done a little bit of a better job of structuring their roster and putting it all together. But young talent coming up, Kansas City has some very, very good young talent with arguably one of the best players in the entire game as their shortstop.
And out of that division, Kansas City probably has the best starting rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Sneakily.
Mm-hmm.
Sneakily. No one's talking. I mean, Skubal by all means gets all the headlines.
Oh yeah.
But as far as Detroit's been very good to this point.
Yeah.
Kansas City's been better. It's just been their lack of offense, which is why they're 5.5 back. It hasn't been because of the pitching.
Yeah.
It's because and it's kind of the complete opposite, where the Tigers have been very good pitching, but very good offensively.
Very good offensively, very good defense. I mean, the Tigers have just played really, really good baseball. I mean, to this point, it seems like they do everything really, really well, and also having guys pitching wise that are kind of doing better than what expected. Like,
hands down.
I would have never thought this season that Reese Olson would have been. I mean, Reese Olson has pretty damn good argument that he's been number 2 for them as far as pitching, and they've had all of this success and having the best record in baseball, and their number 2 guy in Jack Flaherty, who I think we all have to believe is going to get it figured out. He looked pretty damn good on Friday night.
Yeah.
Finally, after having 3 or 4 starts where he was really, really bad, is holding like a 1-5, 1-6 record right now, or 2, I think, as he did get the win on Friday. So now he's got 2 wins, but he's kind of been the worst pitcher in the right now on the whole entire team, and I think I have a feeling here in the next, if you look at that roster here in a month, he's not going to be the worst pitcher. Like, he's going to get it figured out, and he's been too good of a pitcher for too long. So I think he gets it figured out, and that's what. And then Casey Mize, who has missed his last 2 or 3 starts because of injury, going to get him back. And if he's anything close to like what he had been throughout the season, their pitching staff has been. We all knew what we were going to get out of Skubal. Skubal's the best in the game, but there's other pitchers that are stepping up for him this season that I don't think are really getting a whole lot of credit. And outside of the fucking state of Michigan, I don't know if anybody even is talking about or even knows who Reese Olson is.
No, Reese Olson is a dog. He's an innings eater. If he has a 3 ERA and below, I think as Tigers fans, you're ecstatic.
Oh, hell yeah!
And then you sprinkle in a little Jackson Jobe in there. Granted, it's his rookie year. They're probably not going to extend him too far, but yeah, it's exciting to watch.
But the thing with Jackson Jobe too is he does a really good job of missing bats, and like I said earlier, with this Tigers team is. I think that their bullpen struggles. They don't have enough guys that miss bats. So I think there's going to be an innings limit on Jobe to where towards the middle, later on in the season, I think he slides to the bullpen and they use him more sparingly and use him in situations, and kind of like what they did last year with him, where he made his debut in the playoffs and they used him as more of a strikeout specialist in certain situations. I think that's what they build him up this year throughout the first half of the season or the first 3 quarters of the season. He learns how to pitch, and then I think once they hit that limit on innings or whatnot, they're not going to shut him completely down.
No.
I think that they slide him to the bullpen and just use him more so as a 1-inning guy instead of dragging him out for 5, 6 innings. So I do like that but on top of that, the Tigers, he can't be the only thing that they add into that bullpen. They're going to have to be willing to give up some assets at the deadline to add an arm like Josh Hader.
All right.
All right. Well, calling my shot already.
Hey, love it. Or Baez to the bullpen. What do you think?
I wouldn't put it past him.
No?
I would not put it past him.
No. He could do.
I'm convinced that dude could do everything. He can play catcher. He can line up back there and play catcher, and would be one of the best defensive catchers in Major League Baseball. I'm convinced now. Like, he just plays every single position and is good at it defensively.
Well, that means he's an athlete too.
And everything he does, he looks fucking smooth doing it.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how good of an athlete he really is.
Yeah.
2Ks. I think that's about it on the rundown here. Anything that we missed? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to
I was looking.
Leave the folks with
I
here.
want to say that Florida's up on.
Oh yeah, shit. We forgot about the
3-0. When last I looked, it was 3-0. Yep, still 3-0 going
Yeah.
into at the end of the second period. So
Game 7. Could it be the Leafs?
Maple Leafs are going to have to be perfect in the third, and they're going to have to make some shit happen if they're going to get back into this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. Well, two cases. We talked baseball. We talked basketball. We talked hockey. We talked golf. Look at us.
Covered them. Yeah, covered it all.
Where and didn't even get into the drama in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Case.
Oh, jeez.
Because
Yeah.
staying away from that. Last time we got fucking roasted.
I'm not even going to waste my fucking time talking on that one.
The only one who got roasted harder than us was Mr. Pat McAfee. Because you just can't call those girls bitches.
No.
You know.
Nope.
I mean, granted, they can call each other bitches, but us,
No.
Nope. Which 2K crew, we did not say that.
No.
No. Well, 2K crew, we get you out of here on that. Everyone have a great week, and as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.